Alright, so I'm finally making this video about what happened over in Waukesha, Wisconsin. I really wanted to hold off on making this video for at least a little bit, just because obviously, as we saw, tons of information came out, half of it being complete BS that the mainstream media just made up to try to, of course, cover up what actually happened here. And of course, they are still doing whatever they can to hush this story up, to sweep it under the rug as quickly as possible. Now, for those of you who, I don't know how you haven't heard about this if you haven't, but if you've been living under a rock and you haven't heard what happened, over in Waukesha, Wisconsin, they were having a Christmas parade when a black supremacist decided to take his SUV and commit mass murder by running through the parade, running over, I think the injured was around 40 to 60 and about half a dozen killed. In these totals, of course, there are children, there are elderly, there are people, of course, who were just again with their families watching a normal Christmas parade take place in their town, when this black supremacist, this black extremist, decided to try to run these people over and kill them. Now, of course, this is not what the mainstream media is saying. This man right here is the one who's responsible for it, but according to the mainstream media, this is what's responsible for it. Over here, from the Washington Post. Here's what we know so far on the sequences of events that led to a Waukesha tragedy caused by an SUV. Caused by an SUV. Not to be outdone, the New York Times. The grief in Waukesha, Wisconsin had been concentrated on the loss of 5 adults after an SUV barreled through a Christmas parade on Sunday. An SUV. CNN just today, or for y'all, I guess, yesterday. I record these things at midnight, sue me. Waukesha will hold a moment of silence today, marking 1 week since a car drove through the city Christmas parade, killing 6 and injuring scores others. A car just drove through a Christmas parade. The media is trying to make this out to be an accident, when the perpetrator who did this is an avid black extremist. He's a black Hebrew Israelite, making tons of posts about, of course, wanting to attack white people. This right here, from the Daily Mail, they have a couple of his his tweets here. Learned indeed taught behavior. So when we start back knocking white people the fuck out, I don't wanna hear it. The old white people too, knock them the fuck out, period. Now, obviously this man, his name is Math Boy Fly. Clearly, he's definitely not English Boy Fly. We know that for a fact. I mean, my God. I mean, how are these? I don't want to hear it. Oh my God. Like, are these people like just functionally, no, I can't use the R word, can I? they're not all there. Let's put it that way. There's some jokes I really want to say that I can't say. I'd get in so much trouble for saying it. Let's just, oh no, I'm not even going there. Not going to go there. Not going to go there. A lot of bad jokes. I'm just saying, I mean, my God, this is the kind of person we're talking about here. He is continuing to make, multiple threats towards white people, including, of course, retweeting quotes from Hitler, talking about who the real Jews are, of course, because the black Hebrew Israelites believe that they are the real God's people, not the Jews. They are the real Jews. And of course he posts, hashtag research, quoting Adolf Hitler. Now just imagine for a split second, that a white person went through a black parade. And that's another thing that they're not talking about here. This parade taking place over here, is in a town that's over 90% white. So you have a black supremacist who goes to a town that's over 90% white and proceeds to run people down in a parade. Now let's take this situation and reverse it. What if a white man decided to run down a parade of black individuals who also retweeted quotes from Hitler? Where would we be? What would be happening? Here's the thing. This right here is worse than Charlottesville. The media doesn't want to talk. They still talk about Charlottesville. They won't talk about, of course, Waukesha much at all anymore. That's being swept under the rug. This right here was worse than January 6th. This is far worse than January 6th. We have children ran over by a vehicle in a mass murder attempt. The only person who died in January 6th was a Trump supporter who was shot by a cop. These were women and children. These were families celebrating a Christmas parade. And a mass murderer, a black supremacist mass murderer, decides to run them down. And here's the thing, not only was this man a black supremacist, he was also a sex trafficker and pedophile. And that's in his own words here. So we're just going to play this clip real quick.
I caught a case with my oldest daughter's mama. Yes, my baby. And then as soon as we fall out, all of a sudden now I'm a pedophile. Let me explain that. 10 years ago, 2006, I caught a case with my oldest daughter's mama. Yes, my baby mama. She's from Oakland. I was busting moves in Nevada. I meet the bitch. She says she want to get down, so I'm pimping on the bitch. I'll take her to Nevada. You know what I'm saying? I get cracked. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know the bitch was 16 at the time. She gave a statement to the police and told them, yeah, she was hoeing, that I was pimping, and that she was 16, and that I didn't know that. Okay?
So he's sex trafficking a 16-year-old, and he's trying to go, it's not my fault. I didn't know she was 16. Of course, then the question comes, but you were still sex trafficking a woman. I mean, that's still a thing, right? That's still an issue. So this is the man who the left is trying to defend. This is the man who they are now trying to, of course, hide his actions. And it's always amazing. These leftists, I'll tell you what, when I started making these videos, I made them just because I thought, it'll be kind of a fun, thought exercise to make some videos to try to articulate my position. And for the most part, I thought I had a very middle-of-the-road approach to things. I really thought, hey, you know what? We can all get along. It's not left versus right entirely. It's, we just need to figure out where we can unite on. Except now what I'm starting to realize more and more is how many times the left wants to defend pedophiles. Who wants to defend, of course, evil sons of bitches like this guy here. The left is obsessed with defending these people. I don't know what's wrong with you anymore. I can't even begin to relate. I thought that when I came in doing some of this stuff that we would find some common ground. That I would read some stories and go, you know what, I can understand both sides of this position. No, there is no both sides of this position. There just isn't. It was like the Kyle Rittenhouse situation. They kept saying, well, we gotta, what about the people we shot? What about the people we shot? Well, what about them? They're a pedophile and the spousal abuser. This is the people you're going to defend? These are the people you want to hold up as heroes? Give me a break, man. So this guy, here's the worst part of the whole thing. Here's probably the worst part of the whole thing. He shouldn't even have been on the street in the first place. So we keep going down here. We have the fact of why he was out. So, released on statement Monday admitting Brooks, 39, should not have been released on $1,000 bond. Only $1,000. I know people who got caught with pot who had a higher bond than $1,000. Absolutely ridiculous. $1,000 bond earlier this month following an alleged hit and run incident involving his girlfriend. Let me explain what happened here. It wasn't just a hit and run. He tried to run her over with his car. Right? He's already have a history of attacking a woman with a motorized vehicle. And he got out on a $1,000 bond. And after he's committed mass murder, in this case, his bond's currently set to $5 million. Only $5 million. Now, it's funny. People go, oh, $5 million, that's still a lot of money. It's still a lot of money. You know how fast people can raise $5 million online? I'm just going to put that out there. Why does he even get a bond? He committed mass murder and is on camera doing it. Why does he even have a bond? Here's the thing. I am for some form of bail reform. All right, I agree that I think that we do have some problems where the fact of you're presumed innocent until proven guilty. And so the way the current bond system works is kind of messed up. They more so go with, what was the crime you committed? More so than, are you even really that likely to be that person? How much, you don't look at the amount of evidence going against you and then go, there's a good chance that you could be this person, so we got to make sure we lock you up. They just go, you know what, hey, the crime's pretty bad, and apparently you're identified, so yeah, screw you. You're going to be locked in jail for a long time, and, we're not going to let you out on bail. I think it's kind of bullshit. All right, you're presumed innocent. I think we should have a better system. However, when you run your girlfriend over with a car, when you have a history of pimping, as he likes to say, sex trafficking a minor, you get $1,000 bond. $1,000 bond. And now there's articles going up saying that, of course, we can't talk about this case because it will affect bail reform. You know, maybe we need to really rethink bail reform. Again, I've been on the side of bail reform for a long time. In fact, I was a big factor, at least in North Carolina here, about helping push the conversation towards stuff like the First Step Act getting passed. All right, so the organization I worked with, a nonprofit organization I worked with, did a lot of work helping get the First Step Act passed by Trump. And that had a lot of good things in it. And it did have some negative things, sure. You know, I no longer work for that nonprofit, so I don't have to act like I agree with every last thing they've ever done. However, I was a big part of that push, and the reason is because I do think our legal system is messed up. But seeing cases like this, it does make me rethink some of the positions I've held about stuff like bail reform in the past, and that's a good thing. As more information comes out, as they like to always tell us, you know, things need to change. And information like this is coming out, that people like this are getting out on $1,000 bond and able to go back out there to commit mass murder. And again, CNN, a car did it. An SUV barreled through, caused by an SUV. They won't talk about the actual issue. They won't talk about the rise of black supremacy in this country. They won't talk about the rise of black extremism. They won't talk about these issues that are starting to come up more and more and more. As we saw, of course, in the video with the Asians being attacked by the black supremacist on the subway over in Philly. Blacks make up the majority of hate crimes against Asians. All right, black supremacy is on the rise. And it's not to discount white supremacy. White supremacy exists. I have friends who are black and have gone through some terrible things. All right, I have a friend who, no joke, a woman dropped her groceries. He went to help her pick it up, and she told him to get lost N-word. All right, really messed up. But when you look at the institutionalized racism, real institutionalized racism, it doesn't affect black people. It just doesn't. In fact, it helps them. It rises them up. Because what it does affect is white people and affects Asians. Institutionalized racism is real. And it goes against whites and Asians, not against black people. You know, and I never really cared that much about some of these issues because for me personally, I'm kind of hard usually to make angry by attacking me. Like God knows I went through a lot growing up. I don't care really what you say about me or what you do to me for the most part. I'll work around it, right? I'm not going to sit there and complain and bitch and moan. However, now that I have a son, and yes, I'm going to play this card. I'm going to play the I have a kid card. Now that I have a son, I look at the fact that if he wants to go to college to be like a lawyer or a doctor or anything like that, because he's not going to college for anything other, I'll tell you that. For the most part, I'm going to send him, probably try to get him to a trade school. But if he does choose to go to a college to pursue an actual field that, you know, needs a degree, he will have to score higher on his SAT scores because of the color of his skin. He will have a less likely chance of getting in college because of the color of his skin. And that does piss me the hell off, knowing that my son will have to face this. And guess what? It doesn't even affect us the worst. It doesn't affect us white people the worst. It affects Asians the worst. Asians have to get a higher score than even white people. Asians have to get a tremendously high score because according to the left, there's no difference. There's no difference between, of course, some Asian who barely escaped out of the hellhole that's North Korea and barely made it out of there and eventually came to America with a barely, you know, anything in their pocket, compared to like some dude who was raised in Tokyo his whole life and of course came over here because he had a bunch of money and decided, you know, why not? I want to live in America. There's no difference between those two because they're both, you know, they're both the same race. At least that's according to the left. The left is trying so hard to separate us by race the best they can, and it's working. It is working, guys. I'm telling you. For one, you know, as of now, for the most part, white people haven't woken up to this, you know, the racism that's going against them at the moment. The fact that, you know, black people are going to say black power, black pride. Yeah, of course, if a white person said the same thing, oh no, it's the worst thing ever. They haven't woken up to this. They don't know this is happening. And what happens when they do wake up to this? That I do worry about. I really do worry about it, because here's the deal. A lot of kids growing up now, they're not going to really know people who went through stuff like the civil rights movement, right? Like when I was little, we got to talk to people who actually went through the civil rights movement. And so, yeah, we saw black people say black power, and we kind of just, well, okay, all right, sure. They went through a lot, give it to them, all right. Kids grow up today, they don't have that immediate connection to that past. And so all they're being raised into is a society that tells them to focus on skin color. Focus on just a shade you were born as. I'm a proud black woman. I'm a proud black man. And you're expecting them not to look at their white skin and go, I'm a proud white guy. I'm a proud white girl. You're expecting them not to do that? They're being raised in an environment that's constantly told them, focus on race, focus on race. Everything has to do with race. And you're expecting them not to have this sense of racial pride of their own? Now, I worry about what that comes to. When you have everyone starting to identify the color of their skin, then you have real tribalism and real violence, real issues outside of just this. Obviously, we have some violence. But thank goodness, it's not the majority of crime that takes place in this country. But we're getting to a point where I do worry. I do worry that some form of like real racial violence might be coming, because everywhere is telling people to focus on this. Now, I'm going to do my part, obviously, to make sure my son doesn't get indoctrinated into this belief that we're going to treat people differently based on the color of their skin. That we're going to judge people as, hey, you know what? I don't know what name to work with, but I'm not going to look at a black guy and say, hey, you are, first thing that comes to mind is a black man. No, I'm going to say the first thing that comes to mind is your name. When I go to church, and one of our church leaders, black man, very, very, very good guy, went golfing with them somewhat recently. I look at him as a Christian. I look at him as a church leader. It's not about the color of his skin. That part barely registers for us. Yes, we know it exists. We see it. We're not blind. When we say colorblind, we don't mean that we don't see that you're different. It's that we don't care. We just don't give a damn. And I'll do what I can to make sure my son is raised that way. But what about all these other kids being raised up in society? I worry greatly for the future when we sit there and pull shit like this. When the media covers for one race of people but then vilifies the other. Because that vilified group will start to unite to protect themselves. And then you're really going to see some terrible conflict. Real atrocities, real evil. I'm telling you, it'll be awful. And that's really what we have to look out for. I do want to end on at least a somewhat good note here and pull this up. So people are starting to come together in Waukesha. Fire department's building a wheelchair ramp for an 8-year-old who was injured in the attack, and there's a lot of instances like this of people coming together and actually really working. There are tons of GoFundMe groups, as well as, of course, other things outside of GoFundMe, because GoFundMe is a terrible company, just awful company. But it goes to help them. I'll donate on whatever. I'll donate however I can to help the people who are going on. So I would say really look out, keep an eye out for some of these charity groups, because they're doing a lot of good work and they really are helping people out. And we got to show our support, especially right now, this time of year, guys. It is going into December. It is the Christmas season. I mean, in the Christmas season, it is the season of giving. These people need it. These people have gone through an atrocity of atrocities at a Christmas parade of all things. So if you have the money, if you have the time, please find it in your heart to look up one of these charities. Again, just Google it. Just Google, Waukesha charity, for the, Waukesha, Christmas parade charity or anything like that. You'll find something. I'm telling you, there's dozens of them out there. I've seen plenty of them out there. I've personally donated to a few of them myself. If you if you have the extra cash laying around, please, 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 in this time of the year, in the giving season, give at least a little bit to help these people make it through, because they're suffering. They need our help. That's all I want to say. I just want to toss it out there. So, thank you, Waukesha Fire Department for doing doing a good work out there and helping this child. And again, it's up to us now to try to help these people who and what they're going through. So please find in your heart, go donate. That's it. Just God, it's a terrible one. It's just a terrible thing. It really is a terrible thing that happened. But maybe we can come together and really help these people out. So go donate, go donate, go donate. I keep saying it, but I just really want it to happen. Either way, really thank you so much for watching. I know this one's been a bit long. It's been a bit of a ramble. There's so much here. There's so much going on. It needs to be said. We need to talk about this stuff. We just need to talk about this stuff. Again, my whole point of making this whole channel was so there'll be just one more voice added to this conversation. I know this channel doesn't get a ton of views, so I really do thank you for all those who do watch, especially those who watch all the way through. I really do appreciate it. I really think we all need to voice our opinions as much as possible wherever we can. If you can make videos, hey, make some videos, all right? It's fun. It's enjoyable. You get new shit like this, and you actually learn a lot. Again, I've learned that apparently the left really loves to defend pedophiles. That's one of the things I've definitely learned. So, again, thank you just so much for watching. If you do really enjoy it, again, a like on the video is greatly appreciated. It really does help out a lot, as well as, of course, subscribing to a channel. We try to make a video every single day, sometimes 2 a day. Today there's going to be 2, so keep an eye out for the second one. So, please subscribe to the channel if you want more content like this. Either way, again, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. And I'll be talking with you again real soon. See you.